Now you're probably wondering what I meant at the end of the first one when I said there was many other Odysseys that came after it. Well, believe it or not, there were many other Odysseys. There were Odysseys like, and you will see them coming by here on the screen, so catch them if you can, not the Odyssey 100. The Odyssey 200, the Odyssey 300, the Odyssey 400, I believe the Odyssey 500, I could be wrong. If you don't see it up there, then I'm wrong. And then, of course, you have things like the Odyssey 2000, the Odyssey 3000, 4000. That's right. And what were all these Odysseys that you see flashing by? Well, these Odysseys were basically plug-in games. Basically, they had games programmed into them. And as soon as you hooked it up to your television, you were able to play them. But as you see by the designs in the pictures that you see go by, the Odyssey was basically more the fact, basically, they were just small, compact consoles, so really wasn't much. Until the early 80s, about 1981-82, when Magnavox decided to bring out the Odyssey 2. The Odyssey 2, as you can probably see by its design, was shaped almost like a keyboard. That's right, it was basically shaped in the version of a keyboard. Yeah, a keyboard. I'm not lying. It had a keyboard, a built-in keyboard. It had a little joystick, and its cartridges were basically like something you could just hold in your hand and you put them in. This was Magnavox's last opportunity to kind of capitalize on the video game trend. Well, one of the last opportunities. But even though it was probably a commercial success because it had a keyboard, it really didn't do much. But during the 70s, other game consoles came and went too. What are those game consoles, you might ask? Well, let's take a look in part 3, shall we? Now, other companies tried to get into the video game craze themselves. It's true. A lot of companies. What companies could those be? Well, there were companies like, say, Bailey. Bailey only had one shot at the video game console industry. It was basically known as the Bailey Arcade. That's right, as you can see up here, known as the Bailey Professional Arcade, Expandable Computer System. It was the only venture into the video game realm. And yes, it had cartridges, of course, but I think it only had one cartridge, I believe, with many games on it. I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of the Bailey thing until now. So that came and went just like that. So, and that's how much people know about it. That's how much people know about something like Bailey. Another company that tried to get the foot in the video game console door, if you will, was Emerson. Emerson came up with what was known as the Arcadia 2001. Now, some of these that you see up here on the left side some came out in the 70s, some came out in the 80s. The Emerson came out in the 80s and was Emerson's only opportunity at the video game wars as well. The Bailey one came out about the same time, around the late 70s and 80s. Also during the late 70s and 80s, another company tried to enter the video game realm. Not once, but twice. What was that company? Well, they were known as Fairchild. And they had a system called the Fairchild Video Entertainment System. And basically it had its own cartridges, no doubt about it. And it came out around the 70s and 80s, so it was sort of a unique thing. But just like the Bailey system, just like the Emerson system, the Fairchild systems, well, they didn't last too long. It's true. They didn't last long at all. And it's a shame, because maybe there would have been some potential in them, but they didn't. They did not last at all. Now, other systems that came out in between the 70s and 80s were also done by other people that you may have heard of and may not have heard of. Companies, like say, and I'm trying to think of the name right now, like Wonder Wizard. That's right, Wonder Wizard. Now you may have seen this little console on the episode of the Angry Video Game Man, right? When he was doing, I think, the Atari 5200. Well, a Wonder Wizard was basically another one of those plug-in systems that had games programmed into it. I don't know exactly what the Wonder Wizard did, to be honest. Basically, I think it was more than just a way of having sports games on there or something. I don't know. But just like every other system before it, like the Baileys and the Fairchilds and the Emersons, you know, Wonder Wizard came and went just like that. Another one that came out, though, in the between the 70s and 80s was the Vectrex. Now, the Vectrex was basically one of the first portable video game systems. But the Vectrex was very similar in a way. It was basically a portable version of the Odyssey. That's right. Different name, different people, but it was basically a portable version of the Odyssey. Now, what did that mean? Well, it meant that just like with the Odyssey, you had little layouts that you put on the screen, on the Vectrex itself, the screen, and it had cartridges that had the games that went with it. So, like I said, similar way. You know, you basically had a regular controller with 4 buttons and a little joystick, but that was about it. But that was the Vectrex, as you can see up here. And like I said, another game console was also by Fairchild. Was basically the Channel F system too, basically a sequel to it. And again, just like the one you saw previously, along with all the others, it did not last long. It was gone. It came and went just like that. That's how well known the thing is. But now that I've told you about some of the systems, let me tell you about 2 systems in the 80s that tried to take down the one that became superior throughout the 70s and the 80s. I'm talking about Coleco, and you guessed it, I'm talking about Coleco and the Intellivision. The ColecoVision and the Intellivision. We'll talk about that next.